Return to the stream! Starting next week, every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 6 p.m. EST, the Slappening is back. Doing some casual pub stomping, custom maps, Freak Fortress, the Certified Medic Challenge. Be there! Only on twitch.tv/BigJoeySlaps. It's gonna suck! You know, I've been thinking here lately, I feel like it's been a while since I've really just played heavy for you guys. Like, actually just played regular heavy TF2 and not some custom mode of TF2, or maybe even talked about something related to TF2. And while I'm certainly not opposed to this channel having a lot of variety, I do think it was about time I came back to my roots a little and just played some heavy for you guys. So today, this map you're watching me play on is called Cornwater, and it's just a very well done reskin of the payload map Badwater, but with a really nice texture change and a few map design changes. Funny enough, the map designer actually created this map because they personally suffer from a specific color blindness, but I've got to say, they did really one hell of a job. It looks great, so I was pretty impressed. Anyways, I've got this footage of me playing on it, and I figured I'd just talk about something that maybe some of you would be interested in, which is, what has it been like for me this past year being a full-time YouTuber? What is it like doing YouTube as a job? Is it awesome? Is it stressful? Is it maybe the dream job people might think it is? Well, that's kind of what I'll cover today, my personal experience with it, and at the end of this, I'll give a few pieces of advice to any of you that are also thinking of doing this full-time someday. So, I guess I should start first off by saying, doing YouTube full-time can be risky. There was certainly a reason why so many of you were vocally concerned when I had announced that I had quit my job to do this full-time about a year ago, and rightfully so. There is always the chance that YouTube could shut down tomorrow, or maybe they decide they no longer want to pay their smaller creators, or maybe you guys just don't watch my content as much anymore and I start to lose money. All those things are possibilities, but so, one thing I didn't share with you guys back then, maybe just because I didn't feel it was necessary at the time, was I left my job back then with a pretty large saved up amount of money. I guess in the financial world, this could be known as what's called a safety net, and it's definitely the first thing I would recommend to anyone wanting to try this full time. Essentially, this amount of money is just so that if I did try YouTube full time and it just completely crashed and burned, that I would still be able to survive and I would still have time to find a job again. But this amount allowed me to feel safe enough that I could quit my job comfortably and really give this hobby my full-time efforts. Secondly, I only left my job after I realized that I was making enough money from YouTube that I could actually survive without a regular job. You know, funny enough, before I ever started YouTube, I actually used to study trends among bigger YouTubers. Now, this was like 4 years ago, so back then it was probably watching the statistics of people like Filthy Frank, Uncle Dane, and I forget who else, but anyways, I began to notice a pretty consistent trend, and the trend was this. For those people that really stuck to YouTube and put in a lot of effort to make their videos entertaining, it seems like right around their third or fourth year, their channels would take off. And this didn't just mean in subscribers, it also of course meant financially. And to me, that seemed like a pretty cool and achievable goal. So back then, when I originally started YouTube, that was already originally my plan, to go after this dream, really give it a ton of effort in my spare time for about 3 to 4 years, and then see what would come of it. And sure enough, it played out. By about my third or fourth year, I started making some pretty good money off this. And you know, it starts like you might make, say, $100 after months of making videos. But then like a year later, now you might make $100 every month. And then by like your second or third year, maybe now you're making literally $100 every week. You know, and it just kind of keeps progressing if you do your job right. So it's really fun to watch grow. But alright, so enough of talking about the preparation and all that. What is it actually like being a full-time YouTuber? Well, it's certainly been interesting. I mean, first and foremost, you're your own boss, which can either be really awesome or really tragic. It just really all depends on you and your personal drive. For instance, you don't have to set alarm clocks, and you certainly don't have to make any deadlines, but you also can't just be lazy and never make anything, because then you essentially lose all your money and you lose your audience, which never feels good. So you do have to push yourself to keep making content and keep coming up with ideas, which can be stressful at times. Especially when the devs never update your game! But honestly, that's still a lot less stressful than other jobs you could have. And when you finally do create your new content and you push it out and people love it, it's honestly one of the best feelings you may ever experience. To know that you put so much work and so much effort into something and that people really enjoy it just makes you feel really good and definitely makes you want to continue doing what you're doing. I would say perhaps even more than the money, that could be one of the biggest motivators behind why YouTubers keep creating content. It's why somebody like, say, Lazy Purple continues doing what they're doing, even if it's a lot of work. It's not that it's always fun or that it's certainly not stressful, because sometimes it certainly is, but but it's that feeling we as creators get when you guys genuinely love something we put out. It just feels like such a massive reward in itself. So we really appreciate it, and hopefully some of you guys will get to experience that same feeling someday. But so lastly, I guess I should also mention how making money even works on YouTube. Basically, the way that every YouTuber is paid is based off of ad revenue, so views and subscribers and all that are cool, but really what YouTubers need to survive is people watching the ads on their videos. And this is why sometimes you'll see YouTubers asking you to turn off ad blocker, because you can be essentially blocking their income by keeping it on. Now, it does also help YouTubers to make their videos longer, because that means that they can place more ads. So for instance, the old rule used to be that making videos 10 minutes or longer meant you could put multiple ads instead of just the regular 2 ads you're allowed for a shorter video. But that rule luckily now has been changed to 8 minutes, so as long as you make a video 8 minutes or longer, you can still add more than 2 ads to your video and make a bit more money. Now the trick is, as a YouTuber, you don't want to add so many ads that you end up annoying your audience, but you do want to add more than just 2 so that you can make a better living. But this isn't the only way you can make money off YouTube. What you can really do once you've got your audience is start creating side hustles. So for instance, once you've got a large enough YouTube audience, you could consider selling merch. You could make a Patreon where you offer exclusive benefits, or maybe you could promote a different channel that you stream on, but just essentially use your channel to promote other ways that you can also make more income. That's definitely another big piece of advice that I'd give anyone that wants to consider doing this full time. For me personally, my side hustle was basically everything I just mentioned, plus investing in crypto, which I was lucky enough to invest in pretty early last year. And because of all these things, I've now been able to survive pretty well for myself, which has been cool, but beyond all that, I should take a second to say I really have you guys to thank. Now, I know it's a cliche thing sometimes to thank your audience, and I'm not going to make this too personal, and I'm certainly not the type to overreact and be like, oh my god, I love you all, thank you so much, but genuinely, I will say, none of this would have been possible without you guys. If it wasn't for your support and your views, I would still be working regular jobs that I did pretty much half my life that I hated doing, beating up my body and working for somebody else. And so I genuinely just want to say thank you all. For those of you that actively support me or just come back time and time again to watch my channel every now and then, you guys have really helped me make this dream come true. And so sincerely, thank you. Until next time, this was Big Joey. Later.